So you probably have seen the headline, Ozempic and Aging. And we have to look at it and see what the study actually said. What it said was Ozempic slows aging 9% slower. So let me tell you what actually happened. Researchers gave semaglutide, that's Ozempic or Wegovy to you and me, to a small group of patients for 8 months. Then read their DNA and something moved. Several markers of biological aging actually slowed down. That part is totally true. It's the first proper randomized evidence of its kind, and that's what matters, because it's probably going to work across all the GLP-1s, including Mounjaro. But here's what nobody puts in the caption. There are lots of different DNA clocks, and they don't all measure the same thing. The one that everybody quoted is called the Dunedin pace. It came out of a study in New Zealand, where I worked actually in Dunedin, and it followed 1,000 people born there in 1972. Their lives, every few years they measured that again. From that, scientists built something very clever. Not a clock that tells you how old you are, but rather a clock that tells you how fast you're aging. Right now, this year, that's the one that actually moved 9%. And what was it built from? It is built from blood pressure, inflammation, organ function, metabolism. So it's really measuring the wear on your body. And when a drug like the GLP-1s or Ozempic strips away visceral fat, it's calming down inflammation. And that is the clock that slows. Of course it is. And that's what it's watching. But if you look at the older clocks, that's the ones that are tracking aging more directly. They didn't move at all. So what did the drug actually do? Well, you'll see from the book that's coming out very soon, as I said, it put out a fire. It didn't turn back a clock. And this is still enormous news for the GLP-1s, because it tells me and it tells you what we call aging, in my mind, or by the study, is really inflammation, burning away quietly for decades. Lower the inflammation and the body starts keeping better accounts. Now, the study itself was 84 people, one marrow group of patients for 8 months. Nobody is really saying or has shown that this drug makes anyone live longer. But we know that it probably does, because it reduces heart and strokes by about 70% and Alzheimer's as well. So I'm not saying that this is a reason to take Ozempic for longevity. That decision belongs to a patient's own doctor, and it belongs to your metabolic health, not your birthday. Now in September, I'm getting on a plane, 13 hours from Dublin to Shanghai, because I'm attending and maybe speaking at the 7th Time-Pai Longevity Forum, which is happening there. 2,000 people. It's the biggest longevity meeting in the world probably, and certainly in China. And the man who built that Dunedin clock is going to be speaking there. Daniel Belsky from Columbia University, and he works in the Robert Butler Aging Centre. He took that New Zealand cohort and turned it into the Dunedin PACE study. He's on the programme for Sunday the 13th, and his talk will be quantification of biological aging. So I'm going to be asking him not whether his clock works, it certainly does. I want to know what he thinks that he's actually measuring. Because I know, and he probably knows, the answer is inflammation. So everything that I've argued of for the last 40 years just got a number attached to it. I always said that lowering fat is not really what is going to prevent you from heart attacks. It's going to be sugar. And I must do a whole article on sugar. Anyway, I'll tell you what he says and I'll update you from Shanghai. Bye from Dublin.